Hey YouTube, Parson Rick here. Wanted to do a VR for the Bumbling Piper, his 100 sub giveaway. I know there's a lot of giveaways going on right now, and sorry, still at work. And I hope they don't need me. Anyway, I know there's a lot going on right now, and I'm getting to the ones I can. But this is for the Bumbling Piper. I don't know your name, dude. I'm sorry. But I really appreciate your channel. I like your delivery, your style, and your choices of music are always very pleasant. And the dog. Of course, the dog on the bed, you can't beat that. And so for your 100 sub questions, you wanted to know what is our favorite book and our favorite author. Well, for me, as a minister, I have to answer the Bible is my favorite book. And why? Because it is life. It gives all the answers that we would ever need. Believe that or not, that's my opinion. So favorite authors, now that is a tough one. I don't think that I have ever read an author that I liked everything they wrote, unless they just wrote one book. I got a series right now that I don't remember who's written it, but I mean, like the fourth book it's about greatcoats, and all my kids read something and they remember every detail about it. Like, my daughter loaned me this set of books, and she says, well, where are you? And I'm like, I don't know. And I'll remember something that happened like 3 chapters ago. And then she'll remind me that something happened in the portion I just read like an hour ago. Okay. And it's a really good series, and I'm enjoying it. And it's the guy's first series. I'm in book 4. And I hope it doesn't go past book 4, because I really lose interest eventually. Like, have you read Game of Thrones? Not watched it. Have you read Game of Thrones? Oh, it takes forever. Just forever. Those books are so big, and there's so much going on. How do you remember? Can this guy possibly be my favorite author? No way. It's just a chore to read. I started reading, since you asked, I started reading comic books when I was a little bitty kid. So I learned to associate words with pictures. And I still put the captions on all the shows, right? So my favorite authors would probably be those guys, the ones that wrote Sergeant Rock of Easy Company. You know? The stuff I started reading that got me interested in reading and taught me how to play a movie in my head as I'm reading. So those guys were great. And I was never much of a superhero guy. I liked the classics and the war. And authors, come on. You got Alexander Dumas for all the Musketeers and all the other stuff. You got Dickens. You got all these great literary figures who wrote astonishingly good stuff. You got Jane Austen. Come on. All the classics. Nathaniel Hawthorne, Scarlet Letter, all that stuff. There's so many good authors. Who are you to say pick one? That preposterous. Preposterous. Come on. Anyway. So, depending on where I was in my life, I had authors that I read a lot of. Like, when I was in my 20s, I think I read everything Pierce Anthony wrote. And yes, Terry Pratchett is pretty good. When I was in the service, I think I read everything that, what's that guy? Wrote Debt of Honor, Hunt for Red October, all that stuff. When I was in the service, people were going, how does he know that? Only we know that stuff. And, oh, such good authors. So anyway, I did write a couple. Some formative authors who And here's one that would no longer be politically correct. Edgar Rice Burroughs. He wrote Tarzan. He came up with a language for apes, for crying out loud. Krita Tarzan Bondolo means look out, I'm going to kill you. And, introduced you to entirely other worlds. Jules Verne's, Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. Edgar Rice Burroughs wrote about lands inside the earth. Come on. Lynn Carter of Mars. What stuff? What stuff? What imagination? What creativity? Everybody else, every other science fiction writer builds off of Jules Verne and Edgar Rice Burroughs. Am I becoming passionate? I hope so. I'm reading a really good series right now by a writer named Robin Hobb, a female writer. It's excellent. It's just excellent. And very good recent writer, S.M. Stirling. S.M. Stirling writes a bit of alternative history sort of things, and has some good stories in there like that. But he came out with a series called The Books of the Change, where suddenly all combustion stops, electricity stops, even steam's only limited to about 100 psi, and planes fall from the sky. And the reason I started reading it is because the majority of it takes place right here in the Willamette Valley where I live. In fact, less than 5 miles from where I work is the epicenter. Is the epicenter of the story. So cool. I started reading a local story. Fascinating and thought-provoking about what would you do. And of course, in the book, almost everybody dies. And what would you do if suddenly you had no electricity, no water, no drugs for your diabetes? Very thought-provoking, and that kind of got me onto a little fictionalized history. And I came upon a writer named Bernard Cornwell. And he writes, he takes all the facts he can find about a historic event and fills in the story. So it's true-ish, and it has the people who did exist. Right now on Netflix, there's a series called The Last Viking that's based on some books he wrote. Excellent thought-provoking. I like thought-provoking stuff. Tons of good writers writing one-off books, true stories, like the recent movie about Hamburger Hill and Desmond Dawes. Excellent book. The one where the guy was lost at sea in World War II and then was found by the Japanese, put in prison camps. A biography. Excellent stories. A story should provoke your mind. It should move you to another level. And can you tell I like reading, and I advocate reading, and I love talking to people who read and expand their minds all the time, push the borders, think outside of the box. Anyway. You know that you can put a square peg in a round hole. The round hole just has to be bigger than the corners of the square peg. Think outside the box. So, I really appreciate your channel, and obviously I appreciate the question. Glad you asked it, and I have no answer for my favorite author. They just keep coming. Such astonishing creativity in people's minds, and just love it. Thanks for the question. Keep making those videos, and God bless you. Parsec out.